Helen Barada here, and I am so glad to have you here for our webinar today with Becky Turner. But first, let me tell you about our awesome offer for our member kit. So I know you guys, if you've been on here the last couple of times, you know we have a special deal on our webinars for member kits. And the actual coupon code, I'm going to put it on the chat right now, is FP4HMK. There you go. I'm going to do it right now. And you get a 10% discount off our member kit. Isn't that awesome? 10%. That's a pretty good deal. So we would love to give you a member kit discount. And that discount is good for 2 weeks. The 22nd of January, you can get a discount on our member kit. And let me just show you what's in the member kit, because that's important too, right? So I'm going to start with the thing that I consider a difference maker for first place is our My Place for Discovery book, something that I think is a life changer for me. It's really discovering your emotional eating and emotional and mental whatever things that are in the way of change, which we're talking about today. So here, I bet you Becky will talk about something that will go with this book. The other book that I think I go to and look at a lot is the My Place for Nutrition, our nutrition book, and then our fitness book, which is awesome and also very cool that I love to look into. And I just love all the different ideas. Another thing that's in there written by Vicki Heath is My First Place, which is, I like to say, my group members that read this book get it. They get what First Place is about, and it really helps set the stage. So if you're brand new and you don't know where to begin, start here. Definitely don't start here. Start at My First Place. It comes in a cool little nifty bag too, and it ships out of our distribution center in Galveston, Texas. Another thing I wanted to tell you that you might not have noticed last week, or maybe the last day of December, we released our newest Bible study, Grace for the Race, by Kristen Ditchfield. The leader resource is now available. I loaded the first video today. Kristen is working on those videos right now. And so we have the Bible study, our brand new Bible study, and we have a leader resource. And coming very soon is another Bible study, Training for Success, updated by the original author, Janet McHenry, but it's been completely revamped. And so Janet McHenry is the author of Training for Success, and that will soon be for sale as well. So we have lots to offer at First Place. So join us in First Place. If you're brand new, get that member kit, or maybe you're a leader and you'd like to get some member kits. You can get a discount for the next 2 weeks. All right, now up is our speaker, Becky Turner. It's hard to explain who Becky is. I think she has no idea what the impact she had for me. The first time I heard Becky Turner speak was at Summit 2010, and she spoke on rest. And her speaking on rest was the beginning of me understanding that Sabbath was something we were supposed to do. So I want you to listen to Becky with ears to hear, because I really feel like she always has these nuggets of wisdom to share with us that the Lord provides, that is going to be maybe a life changer for you. For me, taking a weekly Sabbath is something I do now, but it's something
Praise
I
the Lord.
first heard about in 2010. So Becky Turner, take it away.
Wow, Helen, what a great way to introduce me. Thank you so much. What a blessing. I'm glad there was impact in your life. Yeah, the fourth commandment is the commandment that most Christians break almost all the time. We do okay with lying, cheating, stealing, and murder, to know that, but to really have a true Sabbath and rest and restore our soul is challenging for us. But anyways, but that's not the topic today. I can talk about that on another day. What we want to talk about today is the process of change. And you often heard it said, and I think it was even in the description of the webinar, is that change is hard. Change isn't hard. It's the transition that we don't love. That's what's hard, is moving from where we are to where we want to be, and the steps that it takes in between to get there aren't always easy. And so having this, there's really, I kind of thought about why, who cares? Who cares how we change? I just want to change. Well, there's a few reasons why I think it's so critical. Number one, we are going to change. If you are a believer of Jesus Christ, you are going to change. And this is one of my favorite verses. Not that some of them aren't, but this one definitely leads in top of it. 2 Corinthians 3:18 says this, and we all, with unveiled face, behold the glory of the Lord, beholding the glory of the Lord, are being transformed into the same image. What image is that? Into the image of Jesus Christ. And we're being changed and transformed into the image of Christ from one degree of glory to another. We're going from glory to glory to glory to glory. We're continually in this process of change. And I believe is if we do not change, we become weaker, we become stagnated, we become less than who we are, because we can't stay. If we quit moving forward, we don't stop. We actually move back. And we need to keep that traction going to continue moving forward in what we need to do. And so when we hit a little bump in the road, this process of change can help us think, okay, where am I at on this stage? Where am I at on this process? And that might help us move, because I'll talk about how we move from one stage to the other to keep moving forward. You know, I want us all to be rivers. Now, one of my other favorite verses is Psalm 1, where it says that we're going to be a beautiful tree by the streams of living water. And that my heart is for people to come and get rest and get refreshment and get restored underneath it. But I also think I want to be also that river that runs in front of it, not a lake. Because, you know, a lake, they just get fed. It gets fed, it gets fed, it gets fed, and it never gives out. I want to be a river that freshness is flowing through me all the time to new things, to new beginnings, to new futures that God would have us to be. Instead of getting all the time, we're actually giving out all the time in one of them. And here, because, you know, I'm going to turn the big 6-0 next year, so I'm already thinking about it. And my dad's passed away, but my mom is in her mid 80s, and I have another mentor that's in her early 80s. And they're struggling with weakness. And I heard this crazy stat that the primary reason people have to move into assisted living is because they can't get off the toilet, not because of some crazy thing like they broke their hip and they can't walk anymore. You know, no, they can't get off the toilet, i.e., your glutes and your quads. Helen can talk about that later in an ACE, seminar or something like that. And they can't button their clothes. They can't put their clothes on because they don't have the strength to lift up a shirt or put down the shirt or to pull up a pants. It's strength training. And it is such an example of why we need to always be in the process of change, because if we do not change, we will get weaker and stagnate. So 4 primary reasons that I just want to kind of lean into why to do this. Number one, personally, I already talked about that. When we're growing, learning, changing, we know the process. But it's also, number 2, helpful for others. You know, who out there, raise your hand or put it in the chat, that you lead others, you influence others, you're with others. You know, who is it that is out there, you're helping other people? Well, they want to change, and you need to be able to come along and say, it's okay. You're on this stage right here in the process of change. This is what we needed to move you on, but you're not going to be stuck right there. So it helps others. It's easier, and I don't know about you, but this is what I need. It's easier for me to extend grace to other people when I realize, ooh, they're just in phase 1. No wonder. And it helps me give grace to other people in a much easier way when I know that that's the place that they are in this process of change, this process of learning, the process of skill gathering. And lastly, for me, it helps me focus on what is the most important thing. Because we are finite beings. We only have so much time in a day. We only have so much time in a life. God knows our days, but I want to use them all fully. But I can't do everything all the time to excellency. And when I know that one thing is going to take me this much, it's going to cost me so much emotionally, mentally, physically, even spiritually to move, it's almost like, no, wait. When I understand the process, then I can be willing to say, no. I mean, this is a silly example, but it's a true example. I cannot fold a fitted sheet. I can't fold a fitted sheet. Other than that's how I fold a fitted sheet. But I hear there is a way that you can actually fold a fitted sheet that it looks like a flat sheet. I can't fold a fitted sheet that way. And guess what? I don't care, and I'm not going to learn. Could I learn? Yes. Do I even know people I could go to that could teach me that's not even on YouTube? Yes. But guess what? It's me. It's one bed. I take my sheets off. I wash them. I put them back on my bed. I never have to do a foot. I'm not going to learn how to do that. Other people, it might be important to other people. It's not important to me. It's off my table. I'm not going to hurt myself and spend the energy in that. So that's a silly, tiny, minute issue in that. But it's not something I'm going to spend some time in and bring about change. So as we go through these stages, think about things that maybe, you know what, after further thought, I don't need to learn it. I don't need to learn how to do that. I don't need to have that skill. I don't need to change in that area. And I'm, tired of knitting the same, same purl one, purl two, knit, purl one, purl. I'm over it. We're just putting the knitting needles down and we're going to go back to cross stitch or whatever your thing might be. So now, I know you're like, Becky, you've been talking for 10 minutes and you haven't given me level 1 on the phases. So now here we go. Level 1. Here are the 4 processes of change, and this is level 1. It's often called the ignorance level, but I like to call it unconscious incompetence. Unconscious incompetence. You don't know what you don't know. I don't know about you, but sometimes when I meet with IT people, they say, well, how can I help you? And I'm like, I don't even know how to ask you how to help me. I just know what I want it to do doesn't do. And I don't even know how I got to there to get to do that. Blissfully ignorant. Oftentimes you're blissfully ignorant in this stage. You don't know that you're incompetent, and it's okay. It's like, oh, that's the way life is. I don't care about that. You have a complete lack of skill set in that area. And for the most part, it's not necessarily because of immaturity. I mean, it's not necessarily because of pride where you're like, hey, I know everything. In reality, it's more, oftentimes it's just immaturity because they've never tried it. A few examples of what life is like at that stage or what that stage is a 12-year-old who thinks they can drive the Suburban because they drove the golf cart. I mean, they think, oh, I could jump in and no, they can't. They can't even reach the pedal hardly. I think about escaping from a burning building. It's like you think, oh, that's easy. It'll just take me a few minutes to get out of my house. But in a smoke-filled house and all that stuff, that's why they run these tests. They have fire drills of those. And then the big one, I don't know. I know this is where I was, at 7, and then when I rededicated my life at 27, I was a sinner going straight to hell, and I had no idea. I was incompetent. I was unconsciously incompetent. I was blissfully ignorant and did not know any difference. And for us to move out of that phase of unconscious incompetence to the next phase, it usually takes a shock. It usually takes something that's like, whoa, I'm a sinner. Whoa, so it usually takes, something that will shock the system for it to occur because it's blissful. Why do I want to change? It's blissful. And they realize, hey, there's something else. I think it's really important for us because all of us, every single one of us, I don't care if you're 18 or 87, every single one of us are unconsciously incompetent in certain areas of our lives. We're unconsciously incompetent. And we just don't know it because we're incompetent we're unconscious about our incompetency. A perfect example is I was walking with a friend, and as many of you that know me or just know even this 10 minutes that I've been talking know me, I am very passionate. I get very excited. My voice usually raises. And I was walking with a friend and we were talking about something. It wasn't like some deep, it might have been something deep because we usually have deep conversation. But I just started getting more and more and more passionate. And she just said to me, Becky, are you mad at me? And I realized, had no idea I was doing it, but I realized in my passion, it was coming across as anger. And so it helped me because that's a skill and it's emotional intelligence. I need to learn how to be excited about something, but not come across as angry and harsh and mean. So it was a blind spot. She, at that point, acted like a Nathan in my life and said, you're the guy, you're doing that. And she did it graciously and kind, but man, We need to have an audit, a regular audit in our lives of saying, where are the blind spots in our lives? So level 1, unconscious incompetence. Level 2, and this is called the awareness stage, and that is conscious incompetence. You know that you do not know what you need to know. You're aware right now. Oh my goodness. I mean, it's humbling for many people. Many people, this is a humbling stage. It's like, I thought I could do this. I thought this was going to be easy. Probably most wives, 6 months into the marriage, most mothers, 30 seconds into having that baby. I mean, it is all of a sudden you realize, wow, I am not as skilled as I thought I was in this area. And I probably need some help to get better and working in that process. I think about, the 15-year-old that finally now is getting behind the wheel at driver's ed. And they're like, oh, this is easy. And then they start figuring out, how does the brake work and where's the gas, and forget about if they have to do an automatic and there's a clutch in there and traffic coming in and traffic coming out. And I mean, it's so all of a sudden they realize, whoa, I'm not as skilled as I thought I would be. I think, again, it goes back to, and this is some of the shocks that are necessary. When I said about escaping a burning building, like, time your family going out of the house. Okay, fire alarm, how fast can you get out of the house? And you'll see how quickly it is. I mean, I fly a lot, and they tell us every single time where the exits are, just in case, because they need to speed it up as quick as I can, because to keep our competency up on the level it needs to be. So, and again, I think that as a sinner, that conscious incompetence comes in when you realize, wow, I'm lost. I need a savior. I cannot save myself. I've tried and I've tried and I've tried. I know it came from me at a certain point in my life where I'm like, okay, God, I can't do this anymore. It's definitely 100% step 1 of any 12-step program. Acknowledge that you've become powerless over fill in the blank, and you throw up your hands and you realize, man, I can't do that. Some people, the wisdom kind of nugget here for this point, for level 2 and this awareness, is some people stay at this for a very, very long time. They might become fully aware that they're consciously incompetent, but they don't move. And some will stay until the end of their lives. So level 1, unconsciously incompetent. Level 2, consciously incompetent. And then level 3, and this is the learning phase, and level 3 is consciously competent. You know that you have a skill. You are confident in it, but it's not rote, but you're confident in it. You're still having to think about it. You still you still have to think through the process of it, but you're moving forward and saying, hey, I can at least do the task. You know what they say, the difference between an amateur and a professional? An amateur learns how to do the skill once. A professional learns how to do it all the time. And so it is that continuing growth that you're going to go into. But hey, I got it. I can do it. I can knit. I can fold the sheet. I can, recover from my kids going crazy. I can keep a calm face when, my boss is giving me correction. I can not yell every time I get so excited about something. Maybe I'm still working on that. I might be still in the learning phase of that. But it's often like the 16-year-old when they leave home for the first time after they get the license, right? They've got enough skill to be able to get out of the driveway, but they're having to think, apply the brake, check both mirrors, put it in reverse. So hopefully look behind you, put it in reverse. Don't trust the cameras, right? Use them, at least teach them that way to begin with. They're still thinking about it. They're still in a process of that. I think for a lost person, it's oftentimes once they come to faith and they pray to receive Christ as their Lord and Savior, that there's still that time where they're like, am I really saved? Am I really saved? I mean, do I need to pray again? Do I need to pray again? I'm a good Baptist, so, but I'm also got a little Pentecostal in me. It never hurts to pray again. So anyways, but no, once you're saved, you're there. But man, you sometimes wonder and you doubt if this is really how we need to do it. And the only way you can move to the next stage is with lots of practice. It might not be the 10,000 hour tip that they say requires for you to be at mastery, but you're never going to be unconsciously competent until you practice it enough, and that does and you become a pro in whatever that skill is. Again, might not be necessary for you to become that. But for many of us, we do need to become that and become a pro in those areas, that those skill sets, those changes in our life that we need to go about, those emotional intelligence that we need to grow in. And the little wisdom nugget I like to do here is this: you can move out of this level as fast as you want. So as fast as you learn will be as fast as you'll move in this process, and you can get better and better and better. I think of to just because it popped in my head, I think it's really when people that say, and Helen, you and I both experienced this as we've led classes, is people have said, I can never memorize scripture. So they think they're consciously incompetent. They're speaking out, I can't memorize scripture. And then there's no greater joy than the next week when they come back and they say, I memorized it. Like I really memorized it. I didn't just like memorize in the car. Like I memorized it. And then we go, 8, 9, 10 weeks down the road, and now they can recite all of them. Now they're becoming consciously competent. And it's but we're never going to get skilled in something. We do it. You want to learn how to pray better? Then just start praying. You want to learn how to teach? Teach. You want to learn how to memorize scripture? Remember, you just got to take the next step, and don't just assume it's going to be a lightning bolt. Every professional, anything, actor, football player, gymnast, CEO, they were not good at it when they started. They weren't good. Nobody was good. The best musician, the best pianist, the best flutist, none of them were good when they started. They all only got better because there was a passion in them to continue to strive to get better, and they all had to work at it. So if nothing's impossible with God, and if you want to move from a conscious incompetence to a conscious competence, you've got to start learning. And then the longer you learn, you can go to the next step. And the next step is that unconscious competence, unconsciously competent. They call this mastery, not master. And I'll talk about that in a minute, but it's mastery. They use the skills effortlessly. It's second nature to them. They don't ever think about it. Again, it's the 30-year-old that's now driving to work for the 1500th time because she's worked there for 5 years, right? And she doesn't even have to think about it. And how many times, kind of scary, but how many times do we get someplace, whether it's church or whether it's our kids' school or whether it's where we're working, and we get there and we're like, I don't even remember driving here, because it's so second nature. We have mastered this. As a sinner, I have no doubt of my salvation. No doubt. I'm fully confident 100%. Hey, not because I'm the master, right? But because he's the master, and he's taught me to trust in him, because my faith muscle has built up because I practice it and practice it. I'm saved and I'm secure, and I know that for certain. I think it's possible to move out of this. And it goes back to one of the main reasons why what I said at the beginning. If we lose any of these skill sets, not any, many of the skill sets, we will lose capabilities in it, competencies in these skill sets if we don't use them. Like I said, I fly a lot, and I was on the plane with, just so happened to sit next to a guy who was a construction guy, and he was telling me, he's like, flies a ton and owns a company here, there, and wherever. And I'm like, well, how did you get in the construction business? And he said, actually, I just kind of fell into it. I was actually a professional surfer. And at 35, I just, my knees wore out and I couldn't do it anymore. And so then we talked some more, and he lives on the coast of the West Coast, the East Coast of Florida, in Fort Lauderdale, right on the beach. I said, so do you surf much? And he said, I've never surfed again. He said, no, I surfed once. He said, I surfed once after I hadn't surfed for like 2 months, and I couldn't do what I used to could do. So I just never did it again. And I think that's so true. And I hate it for him because it's obvious. It must not have been a passion, because there's plenty of people out there that still do it. But if we don't, wherever we are, to stay there, we have to keep doing it. We have to keep doing it. And so it's not just one and done. Let's be mastery. Let's have a mastery in those areas and maintain those masteries in it. The difference between a mastery and a master, little m's, is a master adds the extra component that they can actually teach somebody. There's some things that I do, and I'm probably a master at it, a mastery in it. I can do it without thinking. I have no idea how to tell people to do it. nor do I have the skill set to teach people to do how to do it, to have the patience to do that. But I don't know how to tell people how to do it. And I couldn't teach them how to do that. I'm not a master. I've got a mastery in it, but I'm not a master. But someone that can do it and can teach somebody else is a master. Someone that can't do it and can teach somebody else, that's called a coach. And so I think that's just how I see it either way, that you can keep moving forward. So for all three of these, unconscious incompetence, conscious incompetence, conscious competence, and then lastly, unconscious competence, I told you a move for each one of them except for one. And that was moving from level 2 awareness to level 3 learning. And I believe the only way you move from that conscious incompetence to conscious competence is fear or pain. Fear or pain. Because we will stay consciously incompetent and stay in that place, even though we know we shouldn't eat that, or we know we shouldn't act that way against this, or we know we shouldn't ... But it's just too much work. And so the only way is we'll move through pain. The pants are too tight. The friend has a heart attack. We go to a funeral of somebody else and it makes us think about end of life and what salvation can be. And so it's either fear or pain that actually moves us to that next step. And I have prayed for many years that, Lord, please reduce the pain. Help me to move from level 2 to level 3, from that awareness to I'm actually learning without a lot of pain. And it is just the other day in our Bible, in our devotional for our church, it was Hebrews 5. Jesus learned obedience through the things he suffered. He suffered. And so, unfortunately for us, we're not going to move, change, bring about change, learn a new skill, learn a new life without pain in it. And so it's like, hey, how quickly can I stop the pain? How quickly can I stop the pain to move from one step to what we need to do next? So, I just want to really champion you guys to be brave enough to go and ask somebody who you love and they love you, and ask them, where am I blissfully ignorant? Where is the blind spot in my life? Where do I need to improve, get better, become more Christ-like, right? I mean, you can just lift the gifts of the fruit of the Spirit and ask your husband, spouse, friend, daughter, coworker, someone you love and trust, someone that you're going to receive counsel from, and they're going to give it in great love, and just ask on a scale of 1 to 8 or 1 to 10 or 1 to 5, where do I rank in love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, and self-control? Because what does it say? What I just read, 2 Corinthians 3:18, we're going from glory to glory to become more like Christ. We're going to be more like Christ when the fruit of the Spirit is manifested in us. And they'll say, man, you're killing it in love. You're rocking in kindness. But man, this self-control, a little off. Or, hey, this joy, like, I know you love me, but it seems like there's a cloud over your head all the time. Let's work on the joy. Find out those blind spots and then develop a plan and say, okay, this year I'm just going to work on that one thing. Don't try to work on all of the fruits. Work on one of the fruit, and just get better in that one area. Benjamin Franklin had 13 qualities that he listed, things that he wanted people to say at his tomb. And he would pick one of those qualities a week, and he would work on that character trait every week and be mindful of it to get better and better and better. And then for those of us that have mastery in any of those areas, I would challenge you to find somebody who doesn't have mastery, that wants to improve in that area. And you come alongside them and you teach them, because none of us get better we always get better when we teach something, right? If we want to learn something, teach it. That's always the way to challenge it. So those 4 levels we'll encounter and we'll walk through, and they can be difficult. But if we know how to move from one to the other one and stay in that mastery level, we can do it. So again, unconscious incompetence. I'm blissfully ignorant, and it's great. I'm consciously incompetent, And I know now, whoa, I'm aware that I've got a lack here. I've got a skill that needs to be developed. I've got a process that needs to change. I've got an emotional intelligence I need to improve. And whoa, I need to do that. Conscious competence, that's learning. You said you've gone from ignorance, awareness, learning. Now I'm working on it. I'm working on it, mindful of it. I'm thinking about it. It's intentional. It's in the front of my face. I'm thinking about it all the time. And then lastly, unconscious competence. And that's when you're mastering that, and that you just do it by rote. It's second nature. And listen, it is never, ever too late to change, to be transformed, to be renewed, because God is a God of restoration and renewal. So, anyways, and it is Monday, the 8th of January, and there is a big football game going on right now. I have not turned the TV on. I am in a hotel, so I don't even have like rewind. But anyways, so Helen, I didn't want to take all the time, but wanted to toss it back to you to share with everybody. Oh, I see. I'm going to hit on Wendy Morris because I see several people have asked about the 5 levels. I call the level of pain or fear the 5th level, because I think we really won't move from 2 to 3 unless we have that 5th step in there. And so, but I don't, people get so distracted if I hit pain right there in the 3rd. So there's 4 different levels of competency. And then the 5th key thing is to move you from is the pain level. So anyway, sorry for the confusion, because that is what the title said. I understand. Totally understand, Judith. I'm confused too. So honestly, I read it and I thought 5 stages, and then I remembered I was trying to be cute. It didn't work. So anyway.
I like it, and I think having pain and fear is, I think it is. If we can all look back at some of the changes we've done in our life, we probably can think of times where that aha, oh crud, you know, we're aware, but now we're really aware because, like you
Yeah.
said, conscious. So I like that.
Yeah.
Did see that we had one person comment about sugar, about they're trying to get sugar out of their diet and processed foods. So I like, and says it takes time, which I don't disagree. I agree with that. But I was going to say, I wonder what level she considers herself at. She's clearly conscious, right? I would say.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so I would say I'm in conscious competence for that level, because I don't know that I'll ever be unconsciously competent about sugar, because when those pumpkin donuts come out in August, at the end of August, man, I want to go to Dunkin' for my pumpkin donut. And that definitely has sugar in it, but thankfully they're only available through not even through November, which I was very disappointed about. But I just want to say, I agree. Sugar is hard, but it's in the world everywhere. So I like that. I, I just wanted to encourage her to say, that's a good one.
Well, and I think the thing is like, it's okay if we say in conscious competence for the rest of your life, and you're constantly learning, because we are in one way or the other, right? Christ likeness. We're never going to master that until glory, until God comes and gets us back. We're in conscious competence. We're learning, we're learning. So, and yeah, Earl, completely. Sugar is in everything. And even if we didn't eat the donuts, if you look at the salad dressing anyway. So,
And I don't want to demonize donuts, but it is on the cautionary food list in My Place for Nutrition, which is okay. That's where it should be. I just love somebody said they love the focus on the fruits of the spirit. And I was like sitting here thinking, unconsciously incompetent. I don't want to go ask my husband what the spirit is that I need to work on. But I love the idea. I mean, and he would probably love it that I asked him. So I like that idea. If you have a spouse, I'm sure they would be glad to tell you, or have that conversation. You just have to be very ready to go hear it, and be
yeah.
willing.
And kind it's the Nathans in your life. It's so easy to take this and apply it immediately to the body, but you remember we teach a 4-sided person. So where do I need to change emotionally? Where do I need to change mentally? Where do I need to change spiritually? And so you can apply all those things, change these levels of changes to all those areas of, hey, where do I want to get more Christ-like?
Yeah, I like it. She liked your idea. She put in here about one thing a week. That's cool. I haven't ever heard that about Ben Franklin. That's pretty interesting. That's cool.
Yeah, it
So
was, he wrote the values down, and so it was really what he focuses after.
thank you so much for all you're doing. Blessings, Becky, and have a great time, everyone. Good night.
Good night.